In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, there's two sutras that say something very simple and very straightforward, but they shed a lot of light. You know, this idea of attraction and aversion, or pleasure and pain, or attachment and aversion, these two sides of a single coin. But both sides of that coin pull us out of our contentment, out of our inner peace, out of that default space which most of us left many years ago, actually, unknowingly, came out into our senses, into our mind, in order to find happiness and to find fulfillment. We left that inner contentment that is natural to us and kind of bought into the idea that attractions and aversions were the worthwhile thing in life, that pleasures and aversion, that those were the things that made life go and made life exciting and made adventure for us. And these two shlokas say simply this. He says, attachment is that which dwells upon pleasure. And this is a great one, because those vices that give us pleasure, that we're trying to control or trying to transcend or trying to get beyond or to understand the nature of, which will let us let go of them, their temporary nature alone is one of the strongest reasons to let them lie. When you realize that after you do something for pleasure or get that fruit of pleasure, after it's over, you have nothing but the mark in your mind that it happened. And after a while, you begin to realize you can't live on that. You can't build a life on that, that is a stationary bicycle that you'll be pedaling for a long time. And so we have to come beyond it. And at this point in our life, those pleasures come up in the whims of the mind, as we've been talking about. If you dwell on them, you know, if you let them become the thing that you think of, then you will put yourself back on that treadmill. You're going to be involved in them again. And so I was thinking today, what would I do? What should I do to replace thoughts of pleasure, you know, those things that kind of pull me in that direction, with something else? And I thought, I'm going to go and look up the enlightenment experience of Ramana Maharshi, the enlightenment experience of Sri Ramakrishna, the enlightenment experience of Buddha, the enlightenment experience that was had by Eckhart Tolle, and the enlightenment experience of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, and just have each of those paragraphs ready to go, so that when one of my cycles of my vices badgering my mind and my confusion inside continually dwelling on that pleasure, that I would replace that with a thought and a contemplation about these enlightenment experiences that these great men have had in history, as a way of breaking that cycle of, because if you can move your mind off of a thing, the thing doesn't exist for you anymore. It's no longer, it doesn't have to be that constant nag of something until you give into it, that you can transcend these things and you can break this addiction of the senses. The second one is, he says, aversion is that which dwells upon pain. And so, you know, what you do with your mind really determines your experience of life. Everything is a thought. And if you dwell on the pleasures, you're going to be seeking for those pleasures. You know, they're going to lure you out of your contentment into gathering up something. If you dwell on pain, that's going to create an aversion for life. It's going to create fear. It's going to create anxiety. It's going to create trouble for you. And so you should have a library of things in your mind that you can slip into those slots, so that you don't keep falling back onto the ones that your samskaras or your past actions have created for you. So it's a bait and switch for your own mind to find your way back to that inner contentment, to undo this hypnotism of being a body-mind and having only temporary fixes or temporary pleasures or pains filling in all the gaps. Let's find that permanent satisfaction. Let's find that inner contentment. Let's experience our own bliss.